fellow crafty souls, thank you for joining me with another video. My name's Carmen, and I'm so glad you could join me. 2023 is the year of the stretch. So today's project is going to be using Yupo paper, some alcohol inks and mixative, along with some alcohol ink blending solution and the Tim Holtz alcohol ink air blower. So for today's project, I'm going to be making 2 alcohol ink backgrounds and then using some alcohol ink lift ink and a stamp to transfer that and make additional backgrounds. So this first background, I've applied the alcohol ink directly to the Yupo paper, then added some alcohol ink blending solution, and I'm mixing that around using the air blower. The alcohol ink blending solution actually gets that ink moving beautifully and will create puddles, and also assists in blending the colors together. So you can see here I'll be adding some of the silver mixative and making sure that that's actually well shaken up, because that does have some metallic particles in the bottom of it, which does give it that silver appearance. So just adding some alcohol ink blending solution to that and mixing it around using the air blower. So just doing a good clean off of my glass top, and with this background I've actually added the blending solution first and then added the alcohol ink to it, and that's actually helps the alcohol ink to move straight away on the paper. So if there's any dark patches or anything that I am not happy with, I can just add a bit more of that blending solution and to get that moving. So once I'm all happy with that, so I give it a quick dry off, and here I'm actually adding a little bit of hot foil to some of the tacky areas left on the alcohol ink. So just going to trim those 2 backgrounds down so I can use those in my MISTI stamping platform, and making sure that they're both the same size. So I'm using the Altenew Craft Your Life Kit Fragrant Florals along with the alcohol lift ink, and going to pop that onto some plain cardstock backgrounds as well. So initially I'm just going to use that floral stamp set, which is a beautiful big floral, and it allows for some of that a lot of that alcohol ink background to actually show through the pattern. So this will actually turn out beautifully. So once I've got that into a good position, I'll just pop that in, make sure that my Yupo paper's right in the corner, and I'm just using that alcohol lift ink like you would with any normal stamp pad, just ensuring that you get good coverage. And I'm also using my pressure tool just to apply that pressure across the top of my platform. Now I'm going to stamp that onto just some plain white cardstock, giving that some good pressure and having a look. So that's the beauty of using the MISTI platform as well. You have the opportunity to stamp in the same spot twice. So just ensuring that the paper is in, your cardstock is in the corner of your platform will ensure that you'll get the same stamp quality every time. So just applying some good pressure. I'm happy with that. And now I'm going to re-stamp that onto the cardstock as well. So giving that a good press down. Okay, now onto my, before I move on to my second background, just dabbing off the alcohol lift ink, and that will ensure that the stamp actually stands out beautifully from all that alcohol ink background. So now for my second background, I'm actually going to do the same steps again. So ensuring that I've got good coverage with the alcohol lift ink, and then applying some good pressure, and then I'll be stamping that floral stamp onto a white cardstock as well. So I thought, this year being the year of the stretch, I don't often use my alcohol inks, so I took this as a good opportunity to not only play with my alcohol inks, but stretch my stamping supplies and do the alcohol ink lift technique. And this actually gave me 4 backgrounds in which to use to make cards. So it's not only stretching my stamping supplies, it's stretching my background supplies as well, and allows me to produce more cards at once. So you can see here I'm happy with that, and I'm now going through. I only did this twice to get that good lift, and applying some good pressure with that. And I'm happy with how that one turned out as well. So I'm using the Ultra Clean to clean my stamp off, but first off I'm going to dab at the alcohol lift ink, so that will shine up and produces that beautiful ghost-like image in the alcohol ink background. So now just using that Hero Arts Ultra Clean stamp cleaner, and that helps to get that residual alcohol ink off the stamp. And so there's no damage to that stamp. So as you can see, out of those 2 backgrounds, I've ended up with 4 backgrounds. So here I am just lining up the white cardstock and alcohol ink backgrounds, and I've lined them up so that the patterns actually match, and I'm going to cut them down with a rectangle from my Waffle Flower A2 die set. A2 rectangles, and I'm doing this to ensure that both pieces I'm cutting out will be exactly the same size and the patterns will match, so that I can cut them and mix and match the patterns. You'll see shortly. So I gave that a good run through, and there was enough pressure applied so that I was able to cut through the Yupo paper and the cardstock all in one hit. So I'm happy with that. And just getting all the tape off and everything, because I like to fuss with my backgrounds. And I found a bit of schmutz or something there as well. So you can see that the floral patterns actually match on the cardstock and the alcohol ink background. So I'm going to stick those 2 together, and my big boy has just joined me again. He's my crafty puppy. So I've cut the 2 backgrounds in exactly the same spot, and I can mix and match the 2 pieces. So I'm going to go 50-50 split with alcohol ink and the plain cardstock. I'm going to cut a couple of holographic cardstock strips, and the plan was to actually run those through the diagonal between the 2 to create a bit of a nice border strip. So here I am making a bit of a boo-boo, and I actually stuck the 2 corners down, and here I am trying to figure out how I'm going to stick that cardstock strip down. I ended up deciding to run it from corner to corner of the whole card front panel, and just cut off that excess length. And here I've picked out a sentiment from the floral stamp set, You Don't Look a Day Over Fabulous, and I'm stamping that out with my Villainous Potion Distress Oxide ink. And that was about the 5th time I stamped it out, because some of the other stamp inks I used were just a bit too juicy for this sentiment. So just using a rectangle to cut out the sentiment, and I'm going to pop that up on some foam tape so that I can place that onto the front of the card. So I'll just use a little bit of glue, so that allows a little bit of wiggle room, and I'm happy with where I've placed that. So now I'm just going to use my placement tool to pop on some silver holographic sequins with some glue, and I'm happy with that. And I've just picked out an envelope, and I've decided that I'm going to actually make that match with the stamp set and place that onto the front. So this card will actually be for a girlfriend of mine who we've been best friends since high school. So it's her birthday coming up next week, and just stamping that floral onto the front of the envelope with some more of that Villainous Potion Distress Oxide. And I've learnt the hard way to always make sure that my glass top is clean, because I've messed up the insides of so many cards. Stamping on the back using my Socials and Handmade stamp, And then for a sentiment in the inside of the card, I'm using the Make-A-Wish stamp set from Concord and Ninth. And I'm going to stamp that with the Villainous Potion as well. Just so that everything matches from the card front through to the inside of the card as well as the envelope. And I love that coordination. And there's my finished card. I appreciate you spending your time with me today. Thanks for watching.